So a crazy brawl broke out on American Airlines. And I saw this because the reason why it has a video and it says it's over passengers that brawled on American Airlines flight from Vegas to Charlotte after one had refused to wear a mask. Have you been in the grocery store or you've been somewhere in a public setting and you notice somebody's not wearing a mask? And most places they have a mask rule, where you have to wear a mask. And, it's for a level of safety precaution. And I know we have some people that don't feel like they should wear a mask, but it feels as though we know that there's still a pandemic. There isn't any vaccine that is given to people widely distributed. And so people just want to be safe. There are some people that are still afraid and they want to be safe. They're afraid that they could get sick. So that is the reason why they wear a mask, and then they don't want to spread more disease. So this was what happened on the airplane, and this is a still photo of a video footage of a fight that broke out on an airplane. And so video footage shows a fight that broke out between two passengers on American Airlines that boarded a plane bound for Las Vegas to Charlotte on Monday. And so the airline said one passenger was asked to leave the plane because they would not comply with the airline's mask policy. And then they ended up fighting with other passengers over it. And so Americans Airlines requires face coverings on its flights. So most businesses now do require you to wear a mask.
As well as to prevent breathing in the filter material.
I guess these are like
Regardless
clips
of the design,
how to
you're going to want to
make
make
your
sure
own
that your mask
mask.
fits properly.
So it should fit around the contour of your face, whether you use elastic or any other material to help mold it around the edges. That will help, because otherwise you get a lot of air leakage through the sides. And when you breathe, the air will just follow the path of least resistance. So if the sides are flapping open, it'll just go in through.
So I won't go into that, but you can watch it when you get ready. So a fight broke out on the airplane, all because you had one that didn't want to follow the rules and other people who were complying with rules because of safety precautions. And there's just rules, that you follow. So which the airline says they began refusing to wear the mask. So the footage shows the incident. So before the takeoff on the service from Las Vegas, Nevada to Charlotte, North Carolina is where they were headed, was a shared Twitter video by a passenger, Karen Ross. So it shows the two women that were wrestling in the aisle at one point and falling into a row of seats while the other passengers were onlooking. So Ross shared the video with a comment, "So much for social distancing." And so there she is there. So it's also on, it's probably already gotten a lot of views. But it says, nothing like a morning fight club as tempers flared on American Airlines flight today. So much for social distancing. And so it's not a very long video, but here it is. So that's pretty much the melee that took place over someone who didn't want to wear a mask. And so an American Airlines spokesperson told Fox News the passenger became disruptive after being asked to leave the plane for refusing to put on the mask. So on Monday, a customer on American Airlines Flight 1665 with service from Las Vegas to Charlotte failed to comply with the mandatory face covering policy after boarding the aircraft prior to departure. So in accordance with the policy, a customer subsequently was asked to leave the aircraft and became disruptive, resulting in this altercation with another passenger. So earlier reports said the flight may also have been related to a seat assignment as well. So Jack Ross, the wife of the passenger who filmed the fight, told the news organization Sturiful that this was the case, and so due to the coronavirus pandemic, American Airlines requires face mask coverings to be worn on its planes, as do other U.S. airlines. As do most businesses require you to have face coverings. So it's a policy. So you're required to wear a face covering from the time you enter the airports to where your trip begins until you leave the airport, where your trip ends. So passengers with a medical reason for not wearing the face mask are exempt. Otherwise, the airline says it will refuse to fly them. American has removed other passengers from flights that don't wear masks for the same reason. So it's not just the one person. It's not like they just pick this person out to pick on. It's a required policy. And so most grocery stores, most businesses that I've been to here in Los Angeles require face coverings to go in the grocery store. And some people will try to take off their mask, or either they'll try to come in without one, but they will turn people around and tell them you must wear some face coverings. It depends too a lot on the numbers of cases of COVID, and so Los Angeles is pretty big, um, sprawling city, and so the numbers are still somewhat. They're starting to get lower, but I would say with so many people, you just don't want to take chances or risk like that. And so people are still required in public businesses to wear face coverings. So yeah, so this was an unfortunate scene, but I've been noticing there's some people who are willing to take risks, and some of that is defiance because they feel like you're taking away their personal rights. Some of it has to do with not believing that this thing is really happening, or in denial that they could get sick. So, I don't know. What do you think about this? This was really crazy, this melee here. But anyway, I'm going to let this video go. This was crazy. But, this is not the only place that this kind of thing has happened. There's been brawls over the same issue in other places. People have actually gotten killed just because they won't wear a mask or because they're wearing a mask, either vice versa. And so people need to, also be respectful of people's uh, policies. And if you don't want to wear a mask, if you want to put yourself out there and be exposed, if it's you feel that you want to do that, then just follow the policy. And then when you're out of the aircraft and you're into a place where it's okay to not wear, a mask, then have at it. But until then, you just gotta respect the rules of things, because an airplane, I heard, was supposed to be really risky because you're closed in to the airplane and you're around a lot of people and you don't know which one of those people who could be sick. And if you happen to be sick, you could spread it to a lot of people because there's not as much ventilation, I don't think, on the airplanes as it is if when you're in the outside somewhere. Well, having said that, I'm gonna let this video go. Thanks for listening. Crazy, crazy, crazy.